So we'll begin our yin practice today, and I'm going to be reading from The Tree of Yoga, which is by B.K.S. Iyengar. And I'm particularly going to read some passages about the purpose of yoga asana and the purpose of pranayama from his perspective as a lifelong dedicated yoga master. So again, it's from an Eastern tradition. It's not really necessarily catered to our Western way of being, but it's important information. And it's good to hear about yoga from that Eastern Indian source, from the source from which it came. So let's get right to our first pose. We're going to come into a wide-legged child's pose, and we'll do our opening meditation in the posture. So we can bring the bolster between the knees, and if you have a sandbag and you like to use the sandbag, that can feel really good across the hips. Just let yourself settle in and let the eyes close. And we'll come into our breath here. So without changing anything, just begin to feel the breath as it's flowing now. Feel the support of the bolsters in this restful position. And let your body really begin to sink down with each exhalation into the support below it, from the bolster, from the earth. And as we come to pause and take this hour for ourselves to breathe and be with ourselves in stillness, just watch as that process of mental unwinding takes place. So it's very natural now to have an active, externalized, busy mind. But as we step away from doing and step toward being, we have patience and just redirecting our focus and attention to breath and relaxation, to breath and letting go. Understanding that it does take time, and on different days it takes different amounts of time. Some days we're naturally more introspective, and the stillness and the peace come easy. Other days we're agitated, we're disturbed, and the peace doesn't come so easy. And it's inevitable that as we practice through the course of our life, we'll practice through periods of ease and we'll practice through periods of unrest. The important thing is that we practice, that we commit to being with ourselves when it's comfortable and also when it's uncomfortable. From the perspective of spiritual growth, it's sitting through the periods of discomfort that are very rich and rewarding, though not comfortable. It's good to give purpose to our practice.
So after we've felt where we are, letting that inform the intention that we bring to our practice today. The Sanskrit word for this is sankalpa. So what is your purpose for your practice on this day? And we let that intention go. We'll release from our child's pose. So please come on up.
Sliding your bolster off to the side, we'll find tabletop. Release a foot behind, press back through the heels, release the head and neck so there's no strain there either through the shoulders and neck. And then release to the other side. Just giving a little stretch through the Achilles, the calf, the back of the knee. Right, and we'll come on to the belly for Sphinx pose. I recommend if you're on a hard surface, such as a hardwood floor, to place a blanket underneath the hips for added cushioning. All right, in our Sphinx, we have the forearms down and the elbows are in line with the shoulders. Try not to have the elbows too far in front or too far behind, just right there like the Sphinx so that the bones of the arms are supporting you in the posture. And you can, if you want, rest your forehead onto a block between the hands. You can let the head drop down, or you can keep the head lifted. Either close the eyes or soften your gaze as you feel that compression into the lumbar spine. Feeling that gentle squeeze there, nourishing the discs between the vertebrae, squeezing into the kidney organs, hugging the adrenals. Softness through the belly button. We'll be getting into the shoulders a little bit today. So as you take your transition from Sphinx, what you'll do is bring your left elbow a little further away from you and take your right arm, slide it underneath that spot there, and then take your left arm out to the side as well. So both of the arms. Now, if your shoulders are tighter, your arms might be more in front of you like this. But if you can, try to get those arms straight out from the shoulders. Release the head down, and if you feel like you might be choking yourself, then you can turn your head to one side. And as best you can, just let your body weight sink down onto the shoulders and breathe with it. I know it can be very intense. So see if you can abide that discomfort, abide that intensity, as long as it's not sharp or shooting or numbing or pinching. If you've got that dull, achy feeling, that's what we're going for. Releasing the weight of your body down towards the floor with every exhalation. Getting that deep stretch through the shoulder, all parts of the shoulder, really.
Welcome, just one more breath here. All right, let's unwind nice and slow. So come on up, and you will feel a little bit achy in the shoulders. That's okay. Return to Sphinx pose. So again, find your Sphinx. Iyengar says, he speaks to us, to bring the wandering mind to a state of restraint is known as dharana. Dharana is concentration or complete attention. It is the juice which flows within the branches and the trunk of the tree towards the root. Consider a lake. Does the water touch the banks only on one side and not on the other? Or does it touch the banks equally everywhere? When you are performing an asana, a yoga posture, your consciousness, like the waters of a lake, should touch the frontiers of the body everywhere. Where then is there room for thoughts to arise? How can there be a thought arising when you are doing a perfect asana, when your intelligence has spread through your whole body? We'll reverse the shoulder stretch. So now the right arm will come a little bit forward. You'll take the left arm and thread that under. Reach your right arm out to the side and let your head come down. And breathe into the shoulders in this direction. I love that image of our consciousness inside our body like a lake, touching equally all the parts of us, feeling ourselves as a wholly integrated system in flesh. It goes well with other yoga teachings that the mind, when it's still like a lake, reflects the image perfectly like a mirror. But when the mind is busy, like a wind, it creates ripples on the lake. So as we feel our consciousness as this lake, imagining that lake as still. Please unwind. Nice and slow. Okay. Bring your hands under the shoulders. And we'll come up to tabletop. Make sure the belly button is drawing in so the lower back is stabilized as you come up. Now, take the knees wide. We're going to find child's pose again, but with a shoulder opener. Take your largest bolster in front of you, and you may need a block to rest your forehead. So what we'll do is have the arms be in line with the shoulders. Release the forehead down onto the block. You can bring your knees closer together for this one, if that's more comfortable for you. And if you don't need the block, if your head comfortably comes to the floor, or you like that feeling of kind of hanging into the shoulders, you can find that there. And if you're not getting enough of a stretch, you can always turn the bolster up on its side and really let the head hang as you get into the shoulders. So you've got lots of options here. Again, not a comfortable place to be necessarily. As we get deep into the shoulder, try to feel your breath expand out through the side ribs. So we're breathing a greater breadth or width across the chest and relaxing with gravity down and down into the shoulder, into the armpit. Our consciousness pooling like a lake through all the parts of the self. Now, after we've been here for a bit, if the body has opened, you can always make the posture deeper, only if that's good for you, by bending at the elbows, bringing the palms together, and then having the thumbs touch the back of the neck. This will bring it a little more into the tricep, into the upper arm. This stretch here is so good for getting that shoulder extension. It helps our downward dog. Last breath. We'll release
And come up. Move your block, bolster off to the side, take your seat. One more stretch for the shoulders. So your knees are lifted with feet on the floor. Walk your hands back behind you. Fingertips are pointed in. And you'll bend down into the elbows. Look back and make sure your elbows aren't splaying out to the side. You want to keep your elbows in line with the shoulders. And you can walk your hands back and back until the elbows are over the wrists more or less. And then you'll lift the chest. And we're just going to stay here and breathe. Keep the chin tucked so you're looking down towards your belly button. The elbows are hugging together just a little bit. And we're lifting the chest, getting that nice stretch into the front of the shoulder now, maybe even into the chest and the pec. We won't be here for very long, so just take a few more breaths. And as you release, you'll press into the heel of the hand, roll forward the weight into the fingertips, and you'll just roll off the fingertips and shake out the hands. Okay, onto the knees again. Keep your hips above the knees. Release down onto the forearms. Pivot on the right elbow. So you'll pivot on the right elbow, bringing the forearm parallel to the top of your mat. Left arm is extended. Again, it stays in line with the shoulder. Release your forehead down onto your forearm. And we're just going to focus on this left side now as we breathe here. Letting the left armpit shoulder open. Where then is there room for thoughts to arise? How can there be a thought arising when you are doing a perfect asana, when your intelligence has spread through your whole body?
It is because you perform the asana compartmentally that your awareness is interrupted by thought waves. But if you perform it wholly, with cells, nerves, intelligence, consciousness, and the very self, then perhaps you may experience the asana differently. Learn to do it as a single unit all at once. Maintain that state, and then see whether it is a thoughtful or a thoughtless state, whether there is a space between the thoughtful and the thoughtless state, or whether the thoughtful and the thoughtless states lose their identities. Releasing to come up. Find your tabletop. Shift the weight forward, so hips come forward of the knees, more weight into the hands, drop the head down. Press down into the hands, lift the back of the heart up, angry cat. Breathe. Let the head move a little bit side to side. Return to neutral spine, and again come down onto forearms. We'll do the other side. Left forearm pivots, so it's parallel to the top of your mat. Right arm extends out. Rest your forehead down onto the forearm. Keep the hips above the knees. Breathe into that right armpit. To be thoroughly thoughtless is concentration as well as meditation. Absence of thoughts is not forgetfulness. You must run along a single thread like a spider which walks along one strand of its web. There is a single thread for the spider to move along, and for you, there will be one single thoughtful state. If you forget the thoughtful state, then that is known negatively as a thoughtless state. But to remain positively and thoughtfully thoughtless is samadhi, is awakening. To remain positively and thoughtfully thoughtless is samadhi, awakening. Thoughtfully thoughtless. So as we take our last breaths here, feeling that opening through the shoulder, noticing how it releases down into the side waist. And then we'll come up from here. Once more, finding that angry cat position. And this time, as you're pressing down into the hands, feel the shoulder blades separating. Feel that openness, strength of the shoulders. And return to neutral. We'll take a seat with the legs outstretched in a wide V. Please lean out to the right side, bringing your right elbow onto your thigh, or maybe onto your shin, or maybe onto the floor. Okay, with the left arm, we're going to lift the left arm up and then bend at the elbow, bringing the hand to the back of the head. So you can support the head. Let the head and neck be
heavy here. And if this really doesn't feel nice, you can always lift your right hand and hold your head. Give your head some support with that bottom hand. Okay, but as we're here, let's open the chest. So there could be a tendency for the chest to kind of collapse. Try to press your left shoulder blade behind you. And then we're really opening up. Now we open the armpit, the tricep, and now we're moving a little bit down deeper into the side body. Feel your breath release and awaken in between those left side ribs. Perhaps noticing how the weight is a little bit less in your left sitting bone. And then release that sitting bone heavily down, like the weight of the hip is pulling the ribs, pulling away from the ribs, and then all of that dense tissue in there that binds the ribs and the pelvis together, all of that is stretching and opening. Good. Take a moment, unwind your top arm, and if you haven't yet supported your head with your hand, go ahead and do that. Now activate this left arm. So we're going to press out through the fingertips like someone's pulling on your arm here. And then press that arm down. Someone's pulling that arm away. And just experiment with moving this arm forward and back, up and down. And all the while, you're breathing now into the neck and the top of the shoulder. You might even let the head drop down, letting the chin move. Just get a little intuitive as you breathe fully and wholly, moving in a way that's going to bring some release to the tissues. All right, coming back up nice and slow. That was a long time to be in a side bend, so just close your eyes. Take a couple breaths, feel the sitting bones rooted. Notice the difference from the sides of your body. Feeling all of you. And the eyes can open. We'll switch sides. So leaning out to the left, again, elbow onto thigh or onto shin or onto floor. Deciding if you want to hold your head, right arm will come up and you'll reach and hold on to the back of the head here. And try not to let the chest collapse too much, but really keep yourself revolving open. So if you have this elbow to the inside of the knee, you can actually press against the knee here to help you revolve the torso open. That right hip heavy, and we're breathing delicious full breaths into the right side body. So purposefully, the posture I'm showing you is a little more intense than usual. We're kind of really meeting our edges today. We're not holding the poses for as long due to the intensity. But while you're in it, be in it. What is your experience here? How can you breathe and allow, befriend, and be with your body in this shape? And then we'll unwind the top arm and support the head if you haven't yet.
someone's pulling your arm away from the shoulder, pressing down, lifting up, bringing forward and back, maybe making some kind of circle, breathing into the space where the neck and upper shoulder meet. And you might also play around with the angle of the chin and neck. Just let your body guide you. And then we'll release and come up nice and slow. Again, to pause at the top, eyes closed, even sitting bones. Feeling both sides of the body.